As many people know, a lot has changed in how buyer's representation works starting in August of this past year of 2024. So before August, we had our cooperation where in our MLS system, a buyer was offered a form of compensation to help bring a buyer to a seller's listing. That has changed. In this video is to help you understand what the changes are, but also to then help review what you are going to see from us in terms of buyer's representation agreements. So welcome. I want to try to break this down, and my goal on this is to really have you have a better understanding of what you're going to need to be able to sign before you see a home with either myself or one of our agents. This is a rule that has gone into effect as of August 17th, 2024. So I'm actually doing this now in November, and so I've got 3 months of some data as well as we'll talk about it. So long story short, you'll see above, I've talked about what the agreement means for you as a buyer. Please feel free to review that. But what I want to talk about today is why we have the agreement, what that agreement looks like, and then you'll actually see a couple examples of the agreement and our duties owed form and a couple other forms to give you a better idea. Our goal to have this in front of you prior to needing to make a quick decision so we can answer any questions you have. So again, now talking about the buyer brokerage agreement. What has now changed? In order to see a home with a licensed agent, you actually need to have an agreement in place prior to seeing the home. Not prior to writing an offer, actually prior to seeing the home. Now, the good news about these agreements is they are an agreement. They are negotiated between yourself and your licensed agent. They include things that can be a time frame, it could be the commission amount, it can actually be even carved out for a specific type of property. So I want you to take a look at that buyer brokerage representation agreement, the BBRA, as a sample that we have provided. You'll notice on the first page, it's going to identify the property types, the length of the contract, as well as the commission amount. So what I want everybody to understand is, again, commissions are negotiable. And as I'm going to explain further, we still, as your buyer's representation and your buyer's rep, have the ability to ask the seller to cover your fee. And 3 months in, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now, we have not had a single transaction where the buyer's compensation wasn't at a majority covered, and most of the time, all of it has been covered by the seller. So that's a really good thing, and we'll talk about how that works. So that's what you're going to see on page 1. On page 2, it's going to be a little bit more. You're going to actually identify whether or not you have any other non-standard or non-exclusive forms signed with other agents as kind of a disclosure to us as your representative. The third form, or the third page, is going to be additional terms that you and your agent can work out and discuss how you're going to do certain things. Now, things that I want you to pay attention to. These agreements, even though they have an end date on them, can obviously be renewed, redone if necessary. So say like you wanted to just meet with somebody and say, hey, I don't know anything or I don't know enough yet. Why don't we just set a shorter term agreement? That can be done, and then it can be renewed. The other thing that can also be done is in this agreement can be canceled and removed, if you will, with written notice on demand. So if you aren't happy with your representation, you are able to terminate that representation on demand in writing. And the same thing can happen with your buyer's agent. If the communication just isn't working the right way, both parties, or either party, if you will, can negotiate and terminate that agreement just in writing. So that is something that I also always want to stress to our new clients. If you are not comfortable signing something long-term, have a conversation about doing something shorter term. And even if you are in a long-term agreement, just know if things aren't going the right way, hopefully we can have a conversation as the broker prior to you just simply terminating, but you are allowed and able and willing to terminate if you so need to. So I would like everybody to know that and make sure that they are comfortable with that. On top of that, you're going to also see, so moving off of the buyer's brokerage agreement, you're also going to see what is our duties owed. This is not an agreement, this is a disclosure. It's basically an agency disclosure which states what your representative, your buyer's agent, what their duties are to you as a buyer and a principal of the transaction, and also what their duties are to the general public and the other side. This you'll be acknowledging and signing at the same time you're going to be signing your buyer's brokerage agreement. This is why we're going to send it to you in advance so you can start reviewing it. The other thing that I have on here is the actual copy of the actual purchase agreement. Now, you won't even be signing that purchase agreement until it's time to write an offer. So yes, this feels like it's a little early in the stages to show you, but we wanted to do this for a couple reasons. And the biggest reason we want to do it is on page 2, section 2, so it's the top of page 2, it will show you the clause where we, as we are writing your offer for you and you are going to be signing it, the buyer and the buyer's agent has the right to ask that seller and the listing agent for our fees to be covered by the seller. We've had a lot of clients worry about a fee that they're going to have to pay out of pocket, and what we want to do is show you right now on this document that we can agree to a fee with our buyer's brokerage agreement for a certain fee, and we can ask for that fee right away to be covered by the seller through the purchase agreement. Other things that you need to know that are in the frequently asked questions above, but I want to talk about it on a video, is that we as an agent cannot ask the seller to cover more of a fee than we have agreed upon with you. We can't do it. It's illegal. It's against the rules. So just know, if we have an agreement with you in writing for a certain percent, we can ask the seller to cover up to that percent. We can't ask for more. It won't. So we can't try to slide one past anybody. Just know that, and that is very important for full transparency and everything like that. So again, this is just to hopefully allow you as a potential buyer of real estate in the state of Nevada to have a little bit more familiarity and comfort with these forms that myself or one of my agents is going to present to you and ask you to sign. Our goal is that you have a chance to review these prior to wanting to see your home or a home that you want to see and go from there. That way we're not trying to rush through this. Too many people try to do it too quickly. We are a group of professionals here at Zahler Properties. We want to answer all of your questions in advance of anything coming up. We want to make sure you understand that we take buyer representation extremely seriously, and we still believe that even with these changes, through our ability to negotiate on your behalf, you're still going to get a better deal. You're going to have somebody that is officially on your side and in writing. And with the way we negotiate, we can still offset that fee through the residential purchase agreement and have the seller cover that. We obviously are going to have more questions, more concerns, and a case-by-case example. But this is what I wanted to do and provide this to you first prior to signing anything. That way you understand when you're working with a Zahler Properties agent, you're working with a professional who will take the time to do things right for you. If you have any questions, always feel free to connect with me directly, whether it's me that you're working with directly or one of my agents. Thank you so much and have a great day.